Welcome to Malvern Books for our novel night, our May novel night. Thank you all so much for coming and joining us. So we'll be hearing from two very interesting authors tonight. Both of them have a kind of a take on a mystery, so it's kind of cool that they're joined together tonight. First we'll be hearing from Richard Lee Price. Richard is a musician and a professor who lives here in Austin. Troubadours, his book, draws on his experiences playing salsa in the live music capital of the world and his travels in Mexico. Troubadours is, in many respects, a love song to Austin and the Hill Country. Please join me in welcoming Richard Lee Price.
Thank you. As it says in the Bible, we can relate it to this gathering. Many are called on Facebook, but few are chosen. I welcome the chosen. I'm going to read from what one might consider an interlude, all about Barton Springs, which is the core and center of many people's lives here in Austin for years and years and years. And it seems like an interlude, but toward the end of the book, you see, one will see how the mists and the experience of Barton Springs is paralleled in the mists at the summit of the Sierra Mountains in Oaxaca through this journey to Mexico. But today I'm just going to read concerning the springs, which I spent 40 years at those springs and have swum. If you put it all together, I've swum every hour of the day there, every season, every weather condition, rain, snow, kind of like that. I'm stalling so one more person might walk in. By the way, the blurb on the jacket of the book tells what the book's about. But I asked my wife, who works very closely with me both on Spanish translation of this book and also helping me edit the book in some sense. John Herndon was a great help in editing my book. He did a fantastic job. I own any and all errors that in that book. And Linda also. So I said to her, hey, I'm too close to the book. What's my book about? All right? Yeah, not what it's about, but what does it mean that is theme? All right? What does it mean? And she said to me, matter of fact, she said, the novel explores how the soul transforms over time through the experience of love. That's my wife's take on it. It's a good take on it, as good as mine, better than mine. So, we begin. We begin with a quote at the top of chapter 23, titled Alba Rosa, with a line from a poem by Ibn Safir al-Marini, who's a Hispano-Arabic poet Hispano-Arabic poets influenced troubadours a great deal over the Pyrenees, you might say, from Spanish and Arabic into French, or Provençal, more probably. O fateful night, hold back the hour of sundering. On that day, Gudjon's path led to Barton Springs. When in August the hot air quivers and the dry earth cracks under the burn of the unforgiving sun, and a few lone breezes kick up dust storms like whirling ginny along the trails of Zilker Park, then all go swimming at Barton Springs. The sacred fount was also Gudjon's sanctuary and retreat. Under the Texas ash tree with the two missing arm-like limbs, the musicians called the Milo, Gudjon composed and played songs on his guitar as he awaited Alba Rosa, his second love and really his true love. De Milo, unfortunately, is no longer there. They chopped it down. Referencing Joni Mitchell, we are always paving paradise and putting up that parking lot. I wish we didn't do that. I wish it worked reverse. But anyway, to understand that which is to follow, one must know Barton Springs as Gudjon knew it. Not that he nor anyone can know its mysteries, for though the pool is less than 20 feet deep, its true depths are unfathomable. I introduce it with a poem about the personage, the spirit that I have a mystical connection with over the years, who there's a plaque for her, and I borrowed the name from that plaque. I call her Our Lady of the Springs Purissima. Mother of white thunder, whose limestone caves transform the fallen rain, weaver of the wands of light, who stores the sacred shards of the sun in the depths of your chill cold pool. Warm our wandering souls, we who swim your flowing blue-green jewel, whose waters shimmer like reflections in Indra's net. May you, who recharges all, bless that new never-ending day. A geological history of the springs, no punctuation, so if I mess up, I mess up. In the beginning was the bang, light, sea, sun, sky, and the spirit of a dove moved upon the waters, and the sea receded and land formed from the sediment, and plates pushed against each other and created a labyrinth of porous limestone caves and hills and springs and creeks, and in the creeks crustacean shells and dinosaur tracks, and in the hills grass and trees and brush and game aplenty, and human beings came to the land to hunt with arrows and with spears. And they made paths and routes and traded with their brothers in Teotihuacan. And Tonko and Comanche and Apache camped beside the springs and swam in the healing waters. And the elders told how the Great Spirit drove a rainbow through the limestone bluffs and sheared the mountains. And so the springs gushed forth, and the rainbow shattered in its waters and created prisms of light to shine from the depths. And the Creator placed a fire spirit to guard the cave from whose mouth the waters thunder. And as long as the salamander, blind seer, protects the springs, it shall never cease from flowing. And pioneers crossed the plains in wagons and settled in the hills and fought alongside Tejanos and freed the land from Mexico. And Uncle Billy Barton built a home by the springs, and workers and families came to quarry and to mill. And Captain Zilker bought the land and ceded the springs to the city, and the land was made a park, and the spring was dammed and became a pool, and the waters of the pool flowed into the Colorado to Matagorda Bay and the Gulf of Mexico, and returned to the sea that bore it. And students came, and 3 philosophers sat upon a rock above the waters and talked Texas and made great sense. But black men and brown men were not allowed to swim. But soon hippies came and cosmic cowboys, and the pool belonged to the people, and from its banks were heard all manner of languages spoken by all colors and cultures of the earth. And Christians came to baptize, and Jews made of the pool a mikveh, and Buddhist monks and Taoists and Aborigines and First Americans and Sufis and Sadhus came to bless the springs, and artists and musicians and lovers and the dazed and the confused and all manner of seekers came to swim to sun, to read, to rest and recharge, and be blessed by the springs. And on the seventh day, she swam, and generations to come swam with her, and it was very good. Let me find but we skipped to our kind of abridged a little bit. Twilight. Twilight. The sun sets salmon and gold. Through his didgeridoo, I need to stop there. Okay. Editing it. Okay. Sweet earthy sediment he uses for mud baths, anointing his body. That's from the paragraph before. The wind begins to gust, the sky turns silver and charcoal. The pulse of the rippling water quickens, the air cools, birds abandon the swaying leafy branches and take flight. Boom of thunder, bolt of lightning, no rain. Lifeguards clear the pool, and inky black in the darkening sky. He hears music in the distance and climbs the hill. At hilltop, a musician plays his halo thumb piano, alternating thumbs with fingers to ring the shifting rhythms from bird time. His pentatonic melodies float on air like echoes from small Tibetan gongs. A woman in a floppy straw hat and a long flower-patterned dress chants flute-like long tones, angelic antiphonic pitches that hover above the halo song. Beneath the branches, reed-thin girls shake multicolored Brazilian eggs in time. A girl dances, river dolphin, feral fawn, Eurasian child, so fine she could have stepped from an urn painted with Minoan dancers. Her movements supple and fluid as she bends in Kundalini posture, or spins in Sufi trance, or flails and stomps like a Lakota maiden. Her hands form mudras that tell 1,001 tales. Gloaming, the sun's soft liquid rays stretch like pink fingers beneath the thinning clouds. Lifeguards blow whistles, swimmers descend, dive, and shiver in the emerald water once again. The full moon rises, rattle tree marimba sets up along the walkway by the diving board. Marimbas, mbiras, djembes, koras, congas, shakers, rattles, tambourines, and bells. A circle of dancers forms on the grass beneath the cottonwood tree. Arms on shoulders they whirl, legs kicking into the night sky. The people, yes, have come to share the joy of the full moon dance. New native people of the springs, formed from a patchwork of straights and gays and transgenders, silver gray-haired grandmas and jewel-studded tattooed schoolgirls, athletes and slackers and hacky sackers, Muslim girls and Jews with curls, rastas and rappers and daydream nappers, children and babies and bare-breasted hula hoop ladies, redneck mothers and cosmic fathers who dance in the dark and dance in the park and dance naked in the hill country rain, at home with the armadillo. Clowns and kickers and guitar pickers, lots of them. Post-haters and post-macho, post-gender, post-toasted lovers of the sun, the moon, the earth, of those living on it and those dying on it and those already in it. The lovers of mountains and trees, creeks, springs, and rivers that flow through cities to the ocean to become rain and recharge the blue planet. New native people who support profits over profits. People who think feelingly, people who understand that the earth is our mother, and who in his right mind would fuck his mother. He who would is not a man, he's a Moffat. These are the sons and daughters of Tejas, of Webb and Dovey and Belichick, the children John Lennon imagined and Martin Luther King dreamed of. Sons and daughters beyond your command. Blessed are the peacemakers and planet preservers. A crowd has gathered on the grass. under pecan and live oak. Along the limestone ledge, down the concrete pavement, on top of the rocks and in the water, jumpers and divers, leapers and sliders moving to the beat of rattle trees, umbakanga. What is the sound of one heart beating? What is the sound of one world spinning? This is it. We are that. Far from the crowd, a girl, no more than 5, dances on the north bank walkway by the lifeguard stand. She wears a crown, a halo of light, moonlight and pool light, dragon and firefly light. She jumps up and down as she sings to the music. Sweet little rock and roller. She doesn't miss a beat. Her mom and dad stand by the low wall, smiling. They rock baby brother to sleep, but no use. He's having too much fun watching Sis. He gurgles a harmony as she turns round and round, tiny ballerina on a music jewel box, natural born dancer, spirit of this night. Okay. On that day, on the day that Gudjon and Alberosa planned to meet and spend an afternoon together, the sun weighed in at 111 degrees. The pool opened its gates for free swim. It seemed as if half the city came to cool off. Gudjon dove in and swam the quarter-mile length of the pool down and back. When he made his turn and began his return swim, the south bank took on the air of a Kumbh Mela festival by the Ganges. At first he thought his fog goggles were playing the trump d'oeil. A crowd of swimmers and sunbathers sat on the embankment along the length of the hill, dressed in bright red, maroon, orange, and gold, some draped in white sari-like towels, while were thin and brown, glazed in sun-tanning oils. Their heads covered for protection, faces peering out. Others held parasols. Mothers sat their children down under huge black umbrellas. The ladder leading to the water looked like a Hindu ghat in Benares, with so many people on the steps, wading, climbing, hanging from the railings. So many were in the water, it was impossible to lap swim. Everyone dog paddled or lounged on floats. The water of the springs became dank and muddy with torn plants and algae that came to the surface. On the hill, a drum circle formed. The drum rhythms merged with the laughter and the buzz of multitudes. Parents and children, boyfriends and girlfriends, at joyful play, called to each other in different languages. Gudjon thought it's time for a sitar player to appear. Instead, he saw Alberosa enter the north gate and climb down the steps. She wasn't in a bathing suit. When she approached him, he smiled and took her hand to pull her to him on the blanket. But she withdrew her hand. She stood above him, sobbing, visibly shaken, holding a form letter. Rosa, why so sad? Put on your bathing suit. We'll swim together. Then whatever's troubling you will vanish into the springs. She replied, Guy, listen to me. This letter is from Customs and Immigration. They say I've overstayed my visa and that due to irregularities, I must return to Mexico or face arrest. She read the letter to him and turned pale at the thought of losing the life she had built for herself. She couldn't bear to lose him. Gudjon, the only real solution is for us to marry. We can live together, start a family. He made no response. He wanted to tell her, wait, give me time to think. There must be some way. Instead, he balked. The words froze in his throat. Alberosa searched his face for an answer. I'm almost done. This is the home stretch here, last page. He cast down his eyes like an errant boy. You're a coward, she said. All the songs you sang, your music, the words, they were empty after all. Did you sing of love to Marie or the one before her? You're still in love with her. Your cheek trembled when I said her name. Gudjon made no response. He loved Albarosa, but he suffered from a condition peculiar in which fleeting joyance gives way to an eternity of love longing, and a song sadder than a tear, the song of once requited love. She slapped his face. "Liar," she said. Then she turned and walked away. He stood motionless and mute. He let her go. When he came out of his stupor, he realized the terrible mistake he had made. He raced down the hill, shouting her name, but by then she had crossed the spillway and was walking toward the low, grassy slope they called the beach. She couldn't hear him, or worse, she wouldn't hear him. He dove into the pool in an attempt to swim to the beach and stop her from leaving, but the pool was thick with people on floats and rubber rafts and noodles. The merriment and splashing drowned his plaintive calling of her name. Those in the pool thought it was a game like Marco Polo and chanted an imitation. But Rosa walked on. Gudjon swam in between rafts, shoved them out of his way, swam underwater until, out of breath, he was forced to surface from beneath the armada. The more he tried, the less progress he made, a man in quicksand. When he reached the far side of the pool, she ascended the concrete steps. She walked through the turnstile and vanished in the heat shimmer of the summer sun like a ghost. All love stories are ghost stories in the end.